Okay, we're going to show you the progress that I've made here on my military miniatures from Tamiya. These are the American World War II post D-Day figures I'm using on my diorama. I'm using on my Easy 8 Sherman, and I wanted to kind of show you how these went together. This is after assembly, and you can see basically what I do, and this could be a tip for you guys to use in the future. I use this for a lot of the miniatures that I do if I need to, with the painting, if they don't have bases like the wargaming miniatures. I'll actually just take what's called a finger drill, and then I just start in the base here. It's the same diameter as a as a paper clip. Then I just took some modeler's clay, which does not harden, it stays soft. I use this stuff for all kinds of stuff. One of the other tips I was going to give you too on the topic of clay, and get in my drawer here, and when I get the 15mm miniatures, I do the same kind of thing. You can see where I've stuck them in this clay when I do some of the base coating, and I do some of the mass painting of like dudes that ride in vehicles and stuff. I'll use this sometimes. It's just an old Tupperware lid, and I've just stuck some of the clay on the top, and then this helps me do several miniatures at once, especially miniatures riding in Jeeps and vehicles. I will use this because they don't have bases to hold. Or you could stick the bases on here, and you can do a unit, say a platoon or something, 10, maybe 5 miniatures stuck on the clay, and you can use that to knock out what I like to do is almost basically assembly line painting, where I'm just going to go all the black, all the browns, all the flesh. I'll get all that and just knock out all in one run. But so that's a nice little tip for you guys that are just getting into the hobby. But this is another one I like to use. It helps me get a better handle on the miniature, and when I'm doing the primer coat, and then when I'm painting, it actually will help me get up on here, so I don't have to handle it and risk getting the paint off on my fingers. But something I kind of wanted to show you how these went together. I use the usual the two main files that I use. I use 3 main tools when I'm cleaning up my miniatures. I'll use my snips. I highly recommend you get a pair of these. They're much better for using on models. They're made for modeling, and instead of using like little wire snips or something, I use just a large cheap brush. You can get it in any hobby store. I typically get these for doing dry brushing in various sizes. This is the biggest. And when I'm doing my sanding and my filing, I'll go back and knock the filing dust off and the details like this. These are great for that. I use a good square file, although I buy these in a package. You can get them from any model or supply, but these are really good quality files instead of going into using the cheap nail files. These actually, I've already had these files for 3 years, and you just need to occasionally tap them on your build table to get the scruff out of there, all the residue. I like to use a round file a lot, a good round file, because you can get in between the arms, little nooks and crannies. And then I use my handy dandy X-Acto knife. I tend to let mine go dull. I don't like it really sharp for doing cleanup work, and that way I can get in here and I can clean these little thin mold lines that run all the way down like the leg and all the way up through the head. And the technique is to just go parallel to the mold line and then just scrape. I found that for mold lines like this and down in the boots, that's really the best technique. It's the quickest, and just shave it down like that, work your way around. Obviously little mold pockets, obviously you always want to cut away from yourself if possible. That's why I kind of let my knife go a little on the dull side, because it's not super, a lot of guys will say, oh, you want it sharp because it'll go through quick, but you find that this blade I've probably had on here for 2 years It's kind of beat up, the tip's knocked off of it, but you know what? There's cases where I have to go towards myself like this to scrape. You can't always go away, and it's not so sharp it's going to cut right through my finger. In fact, it does not. But it's sharp enough I can still scrape these mold lines really effectively. As you can see there, it just really cleaned it right up in like 5 seconds. Less than 5 seconds. So I want to get this wrapped up. Just show you a couple little tips of what I'm doing with these guys. And here's one from up above that I've finished. He's got all of his mold lines cleaned. What I would say about these, the Tamiya Military Miniatures 1/35th scale, U.S. Infantry, West European Theater is technically what it says here on the box. I also keep my box just out so I can kind of keep an eye on the assembly process. And my overall reaction is, overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would rate these probably a 7. Some of the proportions of the bodies are not as good as they could be. They're not terrible. They're certainly great for using for a diorama. After I get done using some painting techniques, you know, they're going to look fine. Something that one of them I had to do some major surgery to. Which one was he? He was this guy. This guy, his foot was pointed this direction. I don't know what happened in the mold process, but it was pretty annoying. So what I ended up having to do is just I took my snips and I literally just cut his foot off and just realigned his foot with modeler glue. I like to use this is from a local store here in Columbus, Hobbyland stores, but it's Maxicure. It's the cyanoacrylic glue, super glue, and I like to use the extra thick. It's also gap filling, so I'll use it sometimes to get into the little nooks and crannies where maybe the molds did not create the arm perfectly. I'll get in there and put a dab and then let it ooze in, blow on it, let it dry. Instead of using all the green stuff, I find that it's pretty effective for filling small gaps and holes and things instead of going in with green stuff. Yeah, I had to do a little surgery on one of them. If you guys were into picking up this kit, the good thing about the kit is it's cheap. I think I got this on Amazon. It was like $10 or $8. So pretty cheap overall. Like I said, 7, rating a 7 out of 1 to 10. Wasn't terrible, but again, you know, everything isn't going to be perfect, and with modeling especially, you've got to just roll with the punches sometimes, so to speak, and you know, do what I did. I had to do a little surgery, so yeah, so a few little quick tips there for you. Build's going good. I'm almost done with the miniatures, and then we're going to start right in on the tank. I will show you some of the various stages of the build of the tank, and we'll be good. Make sure I went out wide there, sorry. As you guys may know, I don't like to spend a lot of time editing videos, so it's going to just be raw, uncut footage, guys. So, yeah, let you get back at your day, and ciao.